Morning. Today we are going to read Hercules' Quest. This is an excerpt from The Three Golden Apples, and this is written by Nathaniel Hawthorne. This is an adaptation from the original stories of Hercules. The myths of ancient Greece and Rome are stories of powerful gods and goddesses, courageous human heroes, and monster-like creatures. All these characters play a part in dramatic journeys and adventures. The hero in the following passage is one of the most important features in Greek and Roman mythology. He is Hercules. Hercules in Greek mythology, and he is a demigod, the son of the Roman god Jupiter, Zeus in Greek mythology, and a mortal mother. Hercules is known for his incredible strength and courage. That part right there, it is important to note that he is known for his strength and courage. Later, after he commits a terrible crime, he is sentenced to 12 tasks or labors to atone for his actions. One of these labors is to retrieve a treasure of 3 golden apples guarded by nymphs called Hesperides and a many-headed giant dragon. Hercules travels a long way and goes through many trials on his quest to get the golden apples. He also gets help from Atlas, the leader of the Titans, a race of giants. Hercules, in order to complete his quest, had to get 3 golden apples. He asked the giant Atlas about the apples and how he might get them. No one but myself can go into the garden of Hesperides and gather the golden apples. If it were not for this little business of holding up the sky, I would make half a dozen steps across the sea and get them for you, said Atlas. Oh, you are very kind, replied Hercules. Can't you rest the sky upon a mountain? Oh, none of them are quite high enough, said Atlas, shaking his head. You seem to be a fellow of some strength. What if you should take my burden on your shoulders while I do your errand for you? Now, Hercules was a remarkably strong man. If any mortal was capable of holding up the sky, it was Hercules. Nevertheless, it seemed so difficult an undertaking that for the first time in his life, he hesitated. Is the sky very heavy? He inquired. Why, not particularly so at first, answered the giant, shrugging his shoulders, but it gets to be a little burdensome after 1,000 years. And how long a time, asked the hero, will it take you to get the golden apples? Oh, that will be done in a few moments, cried Atlas. I shall take 10 or 15 miles at a stride and be at the garden and back again before your shoulders begin to ache. Well then, answered Hercules, I will climb the mountain behind you there and relieve you of your burden. So, without more words, the sky was shifted from the shoulders of Atlas and placed upon those of Hercules. When this was safely accomplished, the first thing that the giant did was to stretch himself. Next, he slowly lifted one of his feet out of the forest that had grown up around it, and then the other. Then all at once, he began to caper and to leap and dance for joy at his freedom. When his joy had a little subsided, he stepped into the sea. Hercules watched the giant as he still went onward until at last the giant shape faded entirely out of view. And now Hercules began to consider what he should do in case Atlas should be drowned in the sea, or if he were to be stung to death by the dragon with the 100 heads which guarded the golden apples of Hesperides. If any such misfortune were to happen, how could he ever get rid of the sky? I really pity the poor giant, thought Hercules. If it worries me so much in 10 minutes, how must it have worried him in 1,000 years? Finally, Hercules beheld the huge shape of the giant like a cloud off the far off edge of the sea. At his nearer approach, Atlas held up his hand, in which Hercules could perceive 3 magnificent golden apples, as big as pumpkins, all hanging from one branch. "I am glad to see you again," shouted Hercules when the giant was within hearing. "So you have got the golden apples?" "Certainly, certainly," answered Atlas, "and very fair apples they are. I took the finest that grew on the tree, I assure you." Now that we've read, you're going to take page 14 and page 14 and a half and complete them. Page 14, you will be able to answer the questions that go along with the story. These will help you answer the questions into key events. Make sure that you are making the answers written in sentence format, and make sure that you restate the question. That will help make those answers become very easily transferred into your summary. So you can take your answer and write it right over here in the summary to create a summary from your answers. Now make sure when you are doing your questions on the bottom, on the apply it area, that you take your time. Remember, part 1 is the question, but part 2, you have to have the support. So if you can't find something that supports your statement, you probably don't have the correct answer on part A. So make sure that part B supports part A.